Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with American Vineyard Magazine, reporting to you from the summer conference of the California Association of Wine Grape Growers at the Silverado Resort in Napa, and I'm here with President of the Association, John Aguirre, to talk about the progress of today's event, some of the things that have been covered, including one of their key priorities right now, getting the wine grapes exempt from the Food Safety Modernization Act under the Produce Safety Rule. And here's John to give an update on that.
We've heard some great speeches today talking about an H2A program, and then we just got our update from Washington, D.C. And one of the issues that we're working hard on is trying to provide wine grape growers a complete categorical exemption from the Produce Safety Rule, which was formulated under the auspices of the Food Safety Modernization Act by the Food and Drug Administration. So wine grape growers want to be exempt from that rule because if they're not, they're going to have to deal with tremendous regulatory burdens related to testing of water, excluding animals from the vineyard, training workers, and a lot of other things related to food safety. But the thing is, wine grapes are not consumed raw. And this is where FDA got it wrong with the regulation of grapes. FDA believes, or is concerned, that wine grape growers may be selling grapes into the market as table grapes or as raisin grapes. But we know wine grape varietals are uniformly sent to wineries to be processed into wine. So CAWG has submitted an extensive white paper on this issue to the Food and Drug Administration and also to members of the California Congressional Delegation. And we're arguing that wine grapes ought to be treated like potatoes or beets or asparagus. And growers of those commodities are given a categorical exemption from the Produce Safety Rule. If we don't get this exemption, wine grape growers will have to notify wineries that the grapes haven't been processed. Wineries have to notify growers that the grapes have been processed, and then records need to be kept of this paperwork transaction. We think this is burdensome to do for every load of wine grapes shipped. Records have to be kept for 2 years. And failure to do this paper exchange dance could mean that growers lose their processing exemption under the Produce Safety Rule. So we want to make it much simpler for wine grape growers. We're having conversations with the FDA about this. But Congress, at our initiative, and the House of Representatives included language in the bill that funds FDA to treat wine grape growers like they do growers of potatoes and other commodities that are rarely consumed raw. So that's what we're pushing for, is to eliminate this paperwork burden on wine grape growers so that wine grape growers know they're categorically exempt from the Produce Safety Rule. Starting with harvest in 2018, growers need to do this notice and assurance process in order to obtain what's called the processing exemption. And then they need to maintain records of this for a 2-year period. We're hoping that with the language in the FDA appropriations bill that passed the Appropriations Committee in the House of Representatives, that this language will provide FDA the impetus to change their rule to recognize that wine grapes are nearly universally processed into wine. So the Senate will be passing a bill to fund FDA, and we're working to try to get this language in the Senate. So we hope to have clarity by the end of this summer on the status of wine grapes as they're regulated under the Produce Safety Rule. We're also pushing for other issues back in D.C. related to the Farm Bill, tax issues, also on NAFTA and other issues. So we've got our hands full in Washington, D.C., but it's a pleasure to work for the industry.
Thank you, John. On behalf of the California wine industry, we really appreciate the ongoing efforts of CAWG in securing good representation in Sacramento and in Washington to make sure that we have a successful future for our industry. Read more about it in American Vineyard Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.